This is our world. It's a chaotic place and a lot of us spend a lot of time trying to manage this chaos. Sometimes it works. And this time we've decided that the problem we want to manage is pollution. It's a good problem to choose. But we've also decided that electric vehicles are the solution to that problem. So today is a big day at PowerDrift because we get to ride India's first 100% production-ready electric scooter from an established bike manufacturer. But before we get into that, subscribe to PowerDrift, hit the bell icon, and at the end, let us know what you thought of the Chetak. I'm actually quite certain that the inspiration for the design of the Chetak is actually me, because I'm very Italian looking, okay, slightly Italian looking, and I'm smoother and slicker than the average human being, and that I think describes the scooter to the T. It is very nice looking indeed, but what is really impressive is the finish and the build quality on this scooter, because this is, I think, almost the segment benchmark in the way it looks and feels. But the really interesting stuff is actually under the scooter, and there's 4 things you need to know. So it's primarily a metal-bodied scooter, but under that metal and a little bit of plastic is a steel underbone frame into which the battery slots, and that's actually in here. Usually the batteries on a scooter like this would be under the floorboard, but not on the Chetak. Bajaj has also chosen not to go to telescopic forks. They use the trailing link suspension in the front, which does look good, makes the alloy wheel on the other side look nice and clean, but it is an interesting choice because telescopic forks are functionally superior to these. At the rear there's a monoshock, and look carefully, that is actually where the motor is mounted. It's not mounted directly to the hub. There's a set of gears that drives it. So it's not a hub mounted motor like, for example, the TVS iQube, but it's a very interesting way to do this because it eliminates both the belts and the chains, both of which can cause transmission losses and or noise. But all that has to turn into a memorable riding experience, right? Let's take the electric scooter for a spin. The Chetak is a surprisingly nice scooter to ride in the traffic, and a big component of that for me is the noise, and it doesn't have any. There's a very muted whine from the motor and a series of beeps, but even in light traffic, it's hard to hear those noises, so you get the sense of a completely silent scooter. On top of that, the acceleration is actually quite nice, so overtaking things is really easy. The 60 km/h top speed, that does bother me quite a bit, but I suspect that the commuter scooter crowd won't be put off so much by it. The other surprise for me was the ride quality, and this is a little bit on the bouncy side. So Pune's broken roads as well as concrete joints were communicated to my body faithfully, and I wish that it hadn't been done like that. The only other niggle I have is when you go from a completely closed throttle to an open throttle, there is a little bit of a hesitation before the torque delivery starts, and I think that could be tuned out, and that would make the scooter much nicer to ride. On the move, the kickdown is a good idea because it makes passing things, even in eco mode, very easy. But if you're power hungry like I am, eventually you'll run the battery down. The rated range is 95 kilometers in eco mode, but the question remains, how do you charge the Chetak? So Bajaj has not built in a fast charging option into the Chetak, and it's no surprise TVS hasn't either for their iQube. What you get is a 2.7 meter long cable standard with the scooter, which ends in a 5 amp plug. This looks different because this is the industrial specification. You do get an adapter on the scooter to use any plug you see, and that means when you walk up to random strangers, you'll only be asking for the electricity, not for adapters. What you do when you come home on a normal day, not in an emergency where you need to borrow a plug point, is you take your cable, you plug it into the wall. This is your home charger unit. Bajaj will install one for you in your parking lot. You close the cover primarily so that nobody can unplug your scooter in the night. You close the seat for the same reason, and you walk away. Plug it in for an hour and you get 25% charge. And that's how you charge a Chetak. Because Bajaj isn't planning to create a charging network at all, and most of Chetak's riders will be charging them either at home or at work. But how do you get one home in the first place? Well, you go to chetak.com and make a booking, and the nearest KTM dealer will handle the delivery as well as the annual 12,000 km service for you. For now, that's 14 dealers in Bangalore and 2 in Pune. You'll pay rupees 1.15 lakh for this, the premium edition, and about 15,000 rupees less for the Urbane, which is the entry-level trim with a front drum brake. So with the Chetak, I can now finally say that I have ridden a 100% production-ready electric scooter in India. And I have to say that I am surprised and disappointed. I'm disappointed because the performance is modest at best, And it's pretty obvious that the first wave of electrics we'll get are all going to be mass market oriented. And that means that, at least for the enthusiasts, the excitement is not going to be electric. On the other hand, I am surprised at how much difference the silence and the acceleration together make for the Chetak, because it does elevate an experience that should be mundane by the spec. In that sense, the Chetak is quiet, it's satisfying to ride, and it's actually quite impressive. I would have said clean, but the fact of the matter is, most of the energy you're burning in your houses in terms of electricity is coming from coal. On the other hand, it's also obvious that the equivalent of a 110 to 125cc scooter today in the electric world is going to cost about 1.2 lakh rupees, which is expensive, and that tells you how expensive batteries, the primary import for vehicles like this, are still going to be. But I do think of it like this: with the future, it's not going to arrive suddenly one day and change our lives. We are going to have to move towards it one small step at a time.